Welcome everyone, I'm Swamp Monster and welcome to Game On. Today is going to be a little bit of a different video than I normally custom to. Usually I've been doing reviews, or at least only 2 reviews I currently got on here. There will be some future reviews uploaded in a few weeks. But today I actually wanted to talk about the new Nintendo announcement, which is obviously on the screen. The Nintendo Switch Lite. There's a lot of information that needs to be conveyed to the public, and I kind of want to talk about a lot of this stuff that's been announced and what's the difference between the original Switch and the Switch Lite. So first things off, this is the comparison system page. Obviously, you can tell there's a difference in price margins. This is $2.99 while this is $1.99. And also, if you notice, it doesn't have a dock or the Joy-Cons. So for the Joy-Cons, it's permanently attached to the system itself. So these do not detach. These are permanently on the system. Now you can get third-party controllers and the Joy-Cons or the Pro controller, they still connect to it. That is a known fact. Only downside is it doesn't have a kickstand. Yes, they didn't include the kickstand, so it cannot go in tabletop mode, in which you can see right here the play modes. It doesn't support TV mode, so even if you bought a dock, you cannot fit that in there. I think it's a lot smaller for that to fit into the dock itself. Plus, on top of that, it just doesn't have the capabilities in the USB-C port to go into TV mode. Now, I do think that is a missed opportunity for Nintendo to remove that feature, because that was the whole gimmick with the Switch, is you can switch it up. You can switch from the TV to on the go, which obviously this is more dedicated to on the go than it is at home. Then also it talks about here about the compatible games, but there's going to be selected games right here that shows that they're not compatible with the Nintendo Switch. There's going to be a few games that won't work with this, because majorly you're going to need like Joy-Cons separately to play. I do want to note there's also some games that does not support handheld modes, so righteously they're going to be not supported on this. Very rare to see a game not support it, but there are a few out there, so I would tell you to check the box for your game. Like I said, you can still play them if you get extra pairs of Joy-Cons and stuff like that. Specifically, 1-2 Switch is on that list. You'll still need the Joy-Cons, because the controllers itself does not have HD rumble, nor does it have IR scanners, which I'm fine with the IR scanner, but the HD rumble was actually a nice feature from the Switch, and some games actually took advantage of them very well. With the IR motion camera being removed, I do not know if that removes the gyro type controls it has in it, so I'm not for sure if that's what the technology they were using. I just know the original Switch itself doesn't have gyro controls built in, so I don't know if the Nintendo Switch Lite at the moment has that. And obviously you can see right here, it is really smaller than the original Switch, which is pretty nice, I will say that. Obviously, you see that this little color scheme they're going on with this yellow one, which I don't really like. I know a few people even doesn't like this little color palette they're going on with. And it also weighs a lot less than the original Nintendo Switch. And I've heard some people say if you just take the Joy-Cons off and just hold the actual Switch tablet itself for the original, it comes up to about around almost close to that weight right there, 61 pounds. It's like 66 pounds, but still, like, it's kind of amazing that they shrunk it down so much. Now, obviously, they also shrunk down the screen. Originally, it was a 6.2 touchscreen, and now it's a 5.5 touchscreen. They probably did that to save on battery life. And then coming to the actual information on battery life, it's kind of vague a little bit. I righteously think I would definitely recommend checking out Digital Foundry if they ever get their hands on this first, and they'll do their little test on how long the battery life would be. Majorly, it's saying promptly 2.5 hours to 6.5 hours on the original, depending on what game you're playing, and then on the newer one is about 3 hours to 7 hours, which in my opinion, that's not a big battery boost. That definitely is on the low end of the spectrum. I mean, it could depend on what game, because obviously this is like a very vague number on how many hours you can play on a battery, and it always depends on what game. If you're playing like an open world game like Zelda, which I think they did their own benchmarks on the battery life, it's about 3 hours for Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And then 4 hours on the newer model for Breath of the Wild, and I don't know for sure if that's correct on 3 hours, because I know I've played Zelda plenty of times and it's lasted about 2.5 hours. Maybe this is last actually 3 hours on this. I don't know. It all depends like how well this is designed on the battery life, and we won't know until the game system is actually released itself. In which this is right here, this is the final, like, telling you everything. Righteously, obviously, I'm a little disappointed with the TV mode being removed, and I think it's weird that the tabletop mode is removed because they didn't include a freaking kickstand. That's kind of weird, Nintendo. Obviously, there's going to be probably a case that you can get with the Nintendo Switch Lite, little kickstand that still does tabletop mode where you can play with your friends. I played tabletop mode plenty of times at my old job with some of my friends, especially Smash. Would just play the crap out of that on lunch. And as you can see right here, we actually have the color schemes on here, and I don't like this color palette. I know a lot of people don't either. Specifically the yellow, it's not that great, I feel like. And then the turquoise is probably my go-to color that I definitely would want to get. And then there's the gray laying in the back, which is just gray. Yeah, I would have loved it if they actually released these as a, like, maybe a see-through color. That would have been amazing. It would have been a throwback to the old Game Boys. That would have been freaking cool if these were see-through. I wouldn't have minded the colors then. But sadly, they didn't, and they just went with this. And then also looking at the controller design itself, they've changed the Joy-Cons on the Switch built in. There is now a officially dedicated D-pad, and that's freaking awesome. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, this is not going to come off the system itself. It makes sense to have a dedicated D-pad like this. Righteously, there's some replacements for the left joypad that actually has a left D-pad, which is made by Hori. It's a very good one. I totally recommend checking out. It's only 20 bucks. It does have some downgraded features, kind of like the Lite itself, but them adding that makes sense. I'm not gonna say anything super bad about the Lite because righteously, I still am going to buy this. This is a very good console for people that's budgeting on the go and definitely want a cheaper, more battery life Switch, and doesn't really care about TV mode. That makes sense. And talking about this, I feel like the price is a little too high for me. I feel like this should have been $150 for all the features that were removed from the Lite version, especially comparing to the Nintendo Switch. It's just $100 more. I mean, I get this. This is really going to be a system that's aimed towards kids and their parents, and it's $100 less, and a parent's going to be like, what's the difference? I can just give this to my kid and they can shut up and play for a while and I don't have to hear them. Plus, also, I can see it in the other spectrum is like, what if you have 2 kids? And righteously, then you save $200, and I can see that too. That's another thing. So righteously, I see there's a viable market for the Switch Lite. It's definitely needed for the people that's on an income fixed base that wants to buy something from their kids, and if they have more than one kid, they can definitely get 2 of them and they save $200 then. Unless they buy their kid this version and they save themselves $100, then they can buy their kids some games to go along with it. And I can definitely see this being needed for parents like that. And then finally ending off with this video is this right here, the special edition they're doing with, and it's a Pokemon theme, which I love the color scheme. The only downside is it doesn't come with a pack-in Pokemon game, which you would think they would have, but no, it's not. And I get it, it's actually priced at $199, so it'd be the same price. But if you're going to cost that much, at least put a pack-in game for this. That's the only thing I think Nintendo should have done, was at least put a pack-in game for people that they know they're on a budget. They want a budget Switch. So, you know, at least give them a freebie there. Now, I know they had the Nintendo Online program they have where you can get a crap ton of games for just paying $20 a month, but that's only NES games, in my opinion, which are still good, but they're still old games. Anyways, that's it for this video. Tell me what you think about the Nintendo Switch Lite in the comments below. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you think you want to wait to see the full specs on the battery life before you get one? But I would really like to actually hear somebody's opinion on this stuff. That's what the comment section is for. And totally do comment and like, subscribe. And if I did a crappy job, that's what the dislike button's for. So I thank you for watching. Bye-bye.